Welcome back to Seriously Suzanne. I'm your host, Jake Gose. With me is the owner and founder of Flip Flop Spanish, Suzanne Gose. Today we're going to be talking about homeschooling and specifically just kind of transitioning your kid into homeschooling when you're in middle school or the kids in middle school. So what's a good way for a family to start homeschooling their middle school kids?
So typically for homeschooling in middle school, a lot of times, sadly, people decide to homeschool because there's trauma, right? Something bad happened in public school. And looking back on my public school years as a student in the middle school time, you look back on it, you're like, yeah, that was messed up. Like a lot of the stuff that happened in sixth, seventh, eighth grade, looking back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, there was not enough authority involved in my daily life. And I was completely supervised all the time. And we did crazy stuff because you're not a fifth grader anymore. And so you're feeling kind of like, oh, I got a handle. I got opinions.
Mm-hmm.
These people don't know stuff. Like you're kind of, I mean, you tell me, you were in middle school. Did you feel like you were smarter than you now looking back than you were?
Well, I thought I had all of the options to do things now because I had like you were saying my own opinions, and I didn't have any grasp of consequences. And so,
Right.
climb whatever tree I want to climb, do whatever bike jump I want to do. I don't care if I break my leg because my parents will probably take care of it. So,
Right.
go. I remember going out on my bike when I was probably 10, like way down the street, and this dude, and like my bike chain fell off or whatever, and I didn't know how to fix it. And this dude stopped. He was like, "Hey, you want me to give you a ride to your back to your house?" And it was like this nice Mexican dude. And I was like, my spidey sense is tingling. Like I thought I would probably be gone for forever if I got in this man's car. And so I was like, you know what? No, even though that does sound fun and I don't want to walk all the way back, thank you. So anyway, fix my bike. And anyway, that was like kind of a tangent, but that's definitely an example of you being an idiot when
Right.
you're a kid.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I did several silly things as a seventh grade girl that it could have gone really bad for me, but it just didn't. And it wasn't because I was smart enough. I didn't have the experience, right? So you have this ability to do so many more things now, sixth, seventh, eighth grade. You're like, wow, I'm really capable. I can write sentences. I have a, like physically I can do a lot of things. I'm almost as tall as my mom. Like you're looking at how fast you can run and all these different things that you can do, but you don't have the experience to know, like you said, consequences. And so all that's to say, a lot of bad stuff is happening in middle school, and it has been for years. It's decades old. It's not new to this society. I think it's just worse now because everybody has all the information. Like back when if I got mud on the back of my britches on the way, riding my bike to school, and I would get mud splashed on your jeans. If you wear white jeans, oh, it's terrible. So for that day, you're very embarrassed for the day. Now, if you get mud splashed on the back of your jeans because you rode your bike to school, it's forever,
Right,
right?
because they can take
It goes
photos
out,
and yeah.
it goes viral. A video, I mean, kids can make fun of you, and so this is so detrimental. So I had an embarrassing day, and now kids these days have an embarrassing life, and then yeah, it's a lot worse now. So all that's to say, a lot of people are choosing to homeschool in middle school for various reasons, and unfortunately it's not usually to reach for something, it's to avoid something. And so my challenge would be, as you're doing this, try really hard not to keep bad things from happening to your kid when they're in 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old. That's good, but that's not your goal. Your goal should be, let's reach for something awesome. Let's do those bike rides, take awesome field trips, really dive deep into those really quirky, kind of interesting um, desires that your kid has. Mitch loved baking. He was writing his own recipes. You loved everything about spies and the military, and so you got to go with dad on these really cool not field trips, what would you call them, missions? I don't know what they were.
They were field trips, I would say. We went
They were
to
field trips. Well,
uh,
they were meetings. They were neat.
oh, you're
Like
talking
you've
about
got
Timar?
TMAR, yeah,
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah, the
Military
meetings. Yeah,
Maritime,
yeah.
whatever that
You
was.
took me to those. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so you're around men when most kids your age were around other kids their
Right.
age. And so we really had the time to develop some deep interests in things that you were interested in rather than just bookwork. So that would be my main thing as you're going into this kind of really very short amount of time, right? You're not a teenager yet. You can't drive. You can't really make decisions, but you think you can. Reach for something that's really awesome and let them be more involved rather than, oh, I don't want my kid to get more hurt. Try to let that go by the wayside. Reach for something, not avoid something. That would be kind of the main thing as we're going into those years.
Okay, got it. And so I remember us doing units, like we had a discipline unit and like a leadership unit. Um, and I think that was pretty helpful, like to kind of change your mindset. You know, like you're always teaching us to be focused on your work, not distracted with other things. And um, like I've noticed now that I've been out of the house for about 2 years now. Uh, like that was just general good life advice, you know, for
Right.
living your life in the future. It wasn't just to get us to sit down and shut up and finish our school. It was trying to prepare us to go do stuff, right? So maybe if people think about that, like giving your kids lessons for the rest of their life, not just you need to do your school. So,
Right. Yeah. I definitely, because I had the background in public school education, I knew all the lessons. I knew all the facts. I knew all the check marks that y'all needed, quote unquote. And I saw the kids that had come through my classroom and I saw them later, right? I was a public school teacher long enough that I saw some of the results. And the thing that I really wanted for y'all is character training. So I thought, okay, how do I do character training? And praise the Lord, I have a wonderful mentor, and we're still friends today. You know, Julie, that said, yeah, well, I use Konos, and it was like the grandfather of unit studies. So you're right. We started with obedience, and then attentiveness, and then stewardship and discipline. Found out that we are already quite disciplined because we did that military unit, and they're like, hey, for your discipline for children, have them do push-ups. I was like, we already do that. Before your kids leave their bedroom every morning, make sure their rack is made. Oh, we also already do that. You know, so it was really interesting that in our military unit, I was like, oh, we're kind of militant. But I didn't know being married to a Marine kind of created this atmosphere and this culture of being disciplined. And but we got to take it to the next level. Do you remember your little hats, your covers? Sorry, and everybody wore a different chain of command, and we really practiced chain of command and things like that.
I do,
So
yeah.
yes, what do you actually want your child to know? Because they can find out anything they need to know, right? So what's the character trait that you want them to have at the end of this? And yes, for sure, middle school is a very, very important time. If you haven't really been focusing on character yet, definitely want to focus on that. And unit studies is a great way to do it.
Okay. Well, what are some action items that people can start doing now? So let's say they just gotten their kid out of public school, they're now in doing homeschooling, and they're like, now what? What do I start with?
Yeah, I would definitely think about your goals for the year, and then break it down to your goals for the month, and then break it down for your goals for the week. So just like anything else that's big, at the end of this semester, at the end of this year, what do I want my child to have done? So some goals that you want to achieve. That's forward looking, and then some things that you want them to decrease in. So if they have a bad habit you want to get rid of, a lot of times we focus so much on that bad habit, it's not a great thing. So it's like when I eat too much chocolate, I don't need to be thinking about eating less chocolate. I need to think about eating more bell peppers. So putting good things in rather than focusing on those bad things. What do you want to put into your child's life? So I would definitely say scheduling, checklists, and posting it on the wall. A lot of people put their little planners in a spiral or in a some sort of binder, and the activity, that action of opening up the binder to look at your planner already is one step too far. So that's why you grew up. I don't know if you remember from as early as you could walk, we had what you needed to do for the week or the day up on the wall. And that was more for me than for you, but it trained you to go look at the wall. What do I need to do this today? What do I need to do this week? And so keeping it posted once you make those goals, put it somewhere where everybody in the house can see it, in the kitchen, not in the bedroom, not in the schoolroom. somewhere that your goals are out for you to see as well as all your kids.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Yeah, and what you were saying with the goal month week goals thing, that's a lot. Like I've learned that in business. Like that's what we do for podcast architects. You know, we have quarterly goals, we have individual goals. So it's very, I think, trying to get your kid. A lot of people say like, well, he's goal oriented, so he thinks like that, or blah blah blah. Like every human being on planet Earth is goal oriented. Otherwise, we'd all be dead because
Right.
like, oh well, I'm not really goal oriented, so I don't really feel like going to go kill something to eat it. So whatever.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Everybody's goal oriented. You are always working towards something, whether you realize it or not.
Or to avoid something, right?
Right.
You're working towards something or to avoid something. And so what kind of kid do you want? What do you hope for your child? I don't want y'all to run away from things. I want you to run toward things. And so that's what I always try to do. The cool thing about the middle school years is you're not worried about a transcript yet. So I man, have fun. Like, who cares? Whatever they want to learn. Because guess what? You have time in high school to really dive deep and get the government and the history and the science and all those hardcore things. Sure, they need some foundation, but it it doesn't have to be rigorous in the middle school years. It can be so full of just lifestyle experiences. You have the time without worrying about college or college prep. Just enjoy it and then see where they're weak and practice those things a little bit more. Hit it 2 times more than you would have normally. But this is such a great age. Y'all are so funny and you're not scared of being weird yet. Like, you're like embracing your weirdness. It's the best age. I
Yeah.
love middle
And you're not
school.
even
It's my
thinking about
favorite.
it. You're not worried about it at
No.
all. You're just kind of like, that was the best time of my life. Just hanging out with my buddies, running out in the woods, playing just whatever the craziest crap you could think of. And then, like just having fun, going exploring. It was a lot of fun. It was a really great time. And I was not worried about what I'm going to do for my future or if I need a girlfriend or if I look cool.
Yeah.
I just my buddy thought I was cool, and so I thought I was cool. It was just a fun time. So
Yeah. Yeah, and y'all were building forts. You had so much capability at that time. You were strong enough. You knew how to use the tools. You had a lot more freedom. At least that's how I tried to make it. Where hey, as long as you're checking in, and you know, then we're typically okay. There's probably things that happened during that time that I don't want to know about, but but you're alive.
yeah, we did dumb things. We made a
Yeah.
Bigfoot movie, so that was fun. Yeah, we didn't have like a Bigfoot costume or anything, so basically we would set up a shot in a very shaky. We just kind of run around, and then we would find like okay, you lay down over here. And then as we're walking up, we're like, "Oh, Bigfoot must have got him." And so we did that same thing like 4 times, and then we never found Bigfoot. We're like, "I guess he got away." And then that was it. The dumbest crap ever. I wish I could find that. I don't know where it is, but
Yeah, but you were developing friendships and learning about yourself and having the freedom to find that out and diving deep with library books and whatever it is. So this is a really small amount of time between the capability of a middle schooler and the responsibility of a high schooler. And so I would just really recommend people not giving that away. Really definitely check on their screen usage and be more vigilant. I wish I was more vigilant during that time. I trusted a little bit too much. Um, so that was something that I wish I could go back and do. But I think one thing I did do well is I didn't worry. I really knew that if you were out of my sight, like if you were with another family or if you were away on the weekend with grandma and grandpa or wherever you were, the Lord loves you more than I do. And so if you weren't within my jurisdiction to help right there physically, then I didn't worry about you. And so I think I had a very comfortable motherhood during that time. I just didn't worry. I couldn't help you one way or the other. So I just focused on the kids that were within my jurisdiction at that time. And even now, right? You're out of my house, you're living your life. Sure, I pray for you, but I don't worry about you. I trust that you have an inroad with the Holy Spirit and you have a good head on your shoulders and you're resourceful. So, mothers that are starting to worry, I would challenge you to stop and affect what you can affect and let the rest go, because that worry can really affect the way your child views the world and what they're willing to do and the risks they're willing to take, because they're going to worry because mom worried. And that's not what I wanted for you. I wanted you to go out there and conquer things. And I think you have.
Thanks. Well, I'm working on it. Nothing yet conquered, but we'll see. All right. Well, awesome. Yeah. So don't waste your child's life. That's a good point. Yeah. You only get one chance to be a kid. I didn't figure that out until I
Yeah.
was an adult. So
I think no kids have, I don't think kids can figure that out. I
yeah,
think it's just part of the human nature experience.
yeah. And then you feel like you missed out everything. Anyway.
Because you're in a hurry. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. You want to. So to that end, involve your child, right? Y'all are capable at that age. You have thoughts, you have opinions. Let them be as involved as possible in what they're choosing to study and how they're choosing to study it.
Yeah. That was a good time, but I was also very angry at that time. So I think like because people don't take you seriously at all, but you have serious ideas, and it gets better when you're in high
Hmm.
school. So I don't know, maybe that can help it somehow. Anyway, I'm way off track here, but
I don't know. I think it just needs to be simpler than people think it is. Like just recognizing that if you've got your child out of public school or if you've been homeschooling since birth, um, the fact that you're willing to put forth this energy, you're going to do a better job, right? I mean, I loved my students when I taught middle school. I loved them, but I didn't know them. I knew them for 45 minutes a day,
right.
literally. So I did my best I could, but I promise that the parents out there that are trying to homeschool their children in the middle school, the fact that you're worried about it, I guarantee you're doing a better job than the
Yeah.
public school is.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you say that because I work with a lot of different schools producing podcasts and different shows for them, and like public schools. And I was listening to one a few months ago, and she was, well, I was recording it, I guess, and she was talking about how you need more teachers and all this other stuff for the public schools. And she said that, we know your kids sometimes better than you do. And I just thought, well, that teacher sees that kid for 45 minutes a day. And if that teacher knows your kid more than you do, that's pretty sad. Like that's
Hmm.
not good. That teacher's seeing, one of 100 kids. Like that's pretty messed up. So, I mean, I'm not saying that she was trying to send that message. I'm sure she had all the good intentions and she's a fantastic person. But I'm
Right.
just saying it's an interesting point. If a stranger that you've never met is having a better relationship with your kid than you are, then you should probably fix that.
Right. Yeah. I somebody asked me today, anyhow, about homeschooling, and I said, they said, well, I don't know if I'm ready to do it now. And I said, time is truly the only non-renewable resource. And I'm just so glad that I didn't give very much of it away with y'all. I really soaked up every age from babyhood, all the way up through high school. Yeah, y'all had a lot of experiences without me. 100% you should, right? You should have experiences without me. But I didn't miss out on day to day stuff. I was there for the ups and the downs, for the light bulb moments, and for the frustration. I didn't wonder what happened today. I knew exactly what happened. And so if dad came home, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, let me tell you. But when I was in public school and whenever my other kids, the kid comes home in a foul mood and you just are left to guess, like, I don't know what happened. Maybe they stepped in gum. Maybe something really horrible happened. Like, who knows? And unless the kid's willing to talk to you about it, that is the basis of your relationship, is what the child is willing to tell you. And so, as homeschooling parents, the intangible of just having more time with your child is 100% worth it. That's enough. That's enough of a reason to homeschool, from my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with that, and I think more and more people are. So, yeah, and just with the political stuff that's going on today,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's costing you more. I mean, it's I don't want to get too political or anything, but it's pretty bad. I would not. Maybe like 40 years ago, I would have put my kid in school, but definitely not today.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I've been out of the public school teaching segment for 23 years now, and it was bad. That's why I turned into a homeschooler was because it was bad when I was teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it's gotten better. So it's not that it's all bad. I mean, I was a great teacher. I loved all the students. I tried very hard. I wanted the best for them. But like we were talking about in an earlier podcast, there's a culture, and you can't you can't not be in the culture that you're in.
Right.
And so with homeschooling, you really do have that chance to develop and add to the culture because it's a much smaller microcosm. Whereas the public schools, you know, you're a drop in the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and some schools have great cultures, and some
Yep.
have gang kind of cultures and or
Right.
drug cultures. All sorts of stuff.
Yep.
So, well, that seems like a good place to end on. Yeah, take your kids out of the prison that is the public school system. No, I'm just kidding. Um, we hope.
If you think about it, if you think too hard about it, you start going, wait, like, you know, I was talking in one of the seminars over at the GHC, or sorry, at one of the conventions, and I said, you know, how could this be learning? I'm not cold under fluorescent lights and have to pee. So, because that's what I thought learning was when I was in the public school. If you don't really have to pee, then how can you possibly be learning? Because that was the feeling I always had whenever I was, you know, in my elementary school days. I always had to go to the bathroom, but you couldn't unless you know, you had to get special permission. And I think I just drank too much water. I don't
Yeah,
know,
I think that's
but
insane. It's a basic human thing, and you're like, well, you're limited to 3 times a day. Sorry about your urinary
mm-hmm.
infection.
Yeah, you either and you couldn't drink water. Like you get they would count to three. I don't know if you knew this. They'd line you up in the hallway and you would wait in line, and then there's a teacher standing right there, and you would push the water fountain thing and she'd go 1, 2, 3, and that was the amount of time that you had to drink
What
water.
the heck? What if you had to cough?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was a good
I
kid,
just
like I
broke the
obeyed.
whole system. Like you had like went down the wrong pipe, and now you're gonna die because you only had 3 seconds of water and you wasted
They'd
it.
probably be calling your mom.
Yeah, that's insane. I don't understand that. All right. Well, please subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify. Follow us on Instagram at Flip Flop Spanish. I think is just the tag, right?
Yep. Hmm.
You can follow me on Instagram as well as Jake_Ghosts. I also have a YouTube channel, so I'm going to shout that out just because I can. It's called Scoliosis
You should.
Athletics. It's on YouTube. I also have an Instagram page as well. So visit our website, flipflopspanish.com. Order the whole family set for all your Spanish needs. We'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.